All right, what up, everybody? We are back. It's another show. We actually got a new guest today. Boxing trainer, Stephen Bradman Edwards, and I've got my brothers in here with me. JG, Big, Cool, and Mike. So let's get started. The first topic we are going to talk about the Canelo free agency. He has been talks. He is in talks with Kalen Smith. They actually threw out Caleb Plant. So okay, we're gonna start with JG. What you think about that?
Um, I don't think I don't. Honestly, I think it's a pretty good comeback fight because Canelo. I mean, the last time we saw him in the ring was Kovalev. Callum Smith is a solid opponent, and this will be his first fight without Golden Boy, right? Golden Boy's not messing with this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So I think it's a pretty solid like first fight without Golden Boy doing it. I didn't expect him to his first fight outside of Golden Boy to be something where it was just jaw dropping or anything like that. He got to get his feet wet and promoting himself. So I mean, I think it's a solid matchup. I expect him to win huge, but I mean, it is what it is. I expect a pretty good show. Hopefully, the undercard is good.
Um, Big Cool.
I expect if this was pre John Ryder, I'd be more excited about this fight. But that fight with John Ryder showed me that I think that Smith he shrinks mentally because I thought he lost that fight. John Ryder he pinned him up on the ropes, he beat him up on the inside. Even though Smith fought back, I think that Canelo upper body movement, his countering ability, his speed, and his reflexes and his power, I think gonna be too much for Smith, who he gives up his height. He don't use his jab enough. I mean, he fights nervous to me. You know what I'm saying? But if he does, fight smart, fight tall, uses his jab, lets his combinations go, and is mentally prepared to go through what he has to go to get this victory, then I think he can shock a lot of people. But I was high on Smith when he defeated George Groves and he won that World Boxing Super Series tournament back in 2018 I believe. But he since seemed to kind of regress since then. But I think Canelo stops him mid to late rounds, body shot, or due to the body attack.
Mike.
You know what? Like you said, I mean, Canelo from the natural perspective, Canelo he got more tools in the box. He can do more. But I mean, the main factor to me is that height difference, and I believe Smith. I think his length is like 78, 79. If he sticks that jab out there, how's Canelo gonna get inside? If he keep pumping it all night long and just keeping Canelo right in front of him, what can he really do to get inside of that jab? Well, he can counter,
I was gonna
but
say
I
that's what he
mean,
does.
Yeah, he can slip it. He can slip them shots on the inside and cut. He a sharpshooter, man. He can slip,
he
come up with
is.
an uppercut. I
But
mean, he
but eventually somebody with that height is gonna teach Canelo like a valuable lesson that I think every little man got to learn in boxing. All right, for a while you're gonna beat this big man, you'll beat that one, but eventually you're gonna get that one big man who's gonna like go out there and be a big man and show you too small for the weight class.
I don't see Smith being that big guy.
He,
I think
he
people
can,
confuse.
but I mean, look, only thing I know, I mean, see, if we go off last performances, it'd be like, okay, you didn't look too hot, but think about the caliber of fight Canelo is for him and how this can change his life. The thing is, I mean, if we be honest, he can outbox Canelo for 12 rounds. He ain't gonna get no decision.
It's
So
easy. I don't think no more is easy to say you can outbox Canelo. I think that's long gone. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're a special boxer. You know what I'm saying? I think people
You got to be
they
able
may be more wishful thinking at this point instead of
right.
just giving him his props. I mean, he's a great fighter. Whether you his
Oh,
biggest fan or not,
absolutely.
and I just think that now if this was David Benavidez, it'd be a different story. It'd be a different story. I'm like, all right, now
Hell,
that's a
I,
physically strong. fast, powerful guy.
Honestly, I think David Benavidez will be one of the easiest fights Canelo ever
I'm
had.
gonna say he's there to be hit. Like Canelo, bro, he gonna get all of Canelo's. Like he ain't gonna mess with his shots against him.
Right. Look, hey,
But I
Canelo
think
gonna be
Canelo,
like Adrian Broner,
Yeah,
sitting there landing 79 to 80% of his shots every round.
I don't, maybe, but I don't know, man. I feel like Smith. I'm not sold on Smith, man. Before, like I said, when he did what he did to Groves, I was like, damn, that dude right there. I want to see him and Benavidez, him and Plant. But I feel like Canelo can hold his own against the guys at 168 and of course 160. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna let Breadman jump in, because he is the guest and the expertise on the panel.
Mhm.
Uh, y'all was making some good points. I think that it's a good fight, but I favor Canelo to win it. Sometimes when the guy is big, everybody get caught up in the stuff that's on paper with his height and his reach and stuff. But sometimes that makes you a big target.
Mm-hmm.
And Canelo is a sharp shooter, and you have to be elite to outbox him. And it's not just about size. It's about your talent and your physical skills. And I think that Callum Smith is a good fighter, but I think he lost his momentum after that tournament. He was real hot when he won the tournament, but he kind of took off a little bit, and he just lost his momentum, man. And boxing is about momentum. So the John Ryder fight kind of made everybody cool off of him a little bit. And I think it'll be a competitive fight. He's an undefeated fighter. Undefeated fighters are hard to beat. I expect him to be better than he was against John Ryder. But if you twisted my arm, I would say Canelo is going to beat him because some guys handle bigger guys better. And I think that Canelo's Achilles heel is somebody that can make him pick up his feet and that's fast and that can match his speed and reflexes. These big guys, people look at it like, oh God, he's beating these big guys. But Canelo's a big guy. He was shrinking down to 154 for a long time. He's just not tall and long. But if you look at his head
Exactly.
and his legs and his arms, he's a big guy. And he can handle big guys, sort of like James Toney. James Toney would rather you be big or strong than you be fast and agile. The fast, agile guys is the ones that give Canelo way more trouble than these big guys. These big guys really can't put their hands on him. He has a huge advantage on them and speed and dexterity and just overall talent sitting in the mirror. He can sit right in front of those guys and make them miss any day of the week. Canelo is a guy that people always talked about, walked around 180, 185 pounds, man. So he's not no little guy. You know what I mean? And he has a chin and he has really good defense. It's hard to hit him clean. So this weight stuff is a little bit smoke and mirrors. If Canelo had a choice, trust me, he would rather fight a big, strong guy that's standing in front of him than a fast, smooth guy that's not letting him touch him. And I think that those guys that he's fighting, these bigger guys, their size works against them with him. I think the most difficult fight for Canelo out of these guys at 68 and stuff is Caleb Plant because of the style. Caleb Plant is long. He got an educated left hand. He don't try to knock you out. He's a boxer. That's what'll give Canelo more trouble than the big guy trying to club him and knock him out. He can deal with that all day.
Nope.
So
Yeah, and I am looking at this fight personally as a belt grab because actually what Smith got the ring, WBA, and WBO titles, right?
No, Billy Joe got the WBO. Smith got the Super WBA in the ring magazine title.
Okay.
Well, I see. I disagree right there. I can't call it a belt grab because he did win that series. He is the ring title, so you got to show him respect because he did win it. Just because we would pick Canelo to beat him, it's a real fight. He's undefeated. You know what I mean? He's gonna come to fight, and as we know, it's boxing, man. Anything can happen in the fight. So it's not like Canelo's picking the number 20 guy in the world and just using it as a tune-up. Colin Smith is rated number one for a reason. You know what I mean? So if Canelo win, I don't want to discredit his victory. It's a real fight. You know, I just don't think he can beat Canelo, but I do think it's a real competitive fight.
I think Elton might have said that just do based off of the styles or comparing, I guess,
No,
level of difficulties. Then
because I am looking going forward, and with my thinking, because if he fights Plant, say, because they are saying they actually want there to be a pay-per-view fight. Now is a bigger unification fight, and I am looking at it like, okay, he actually wants to grab those belts. Then I mean, Canelo's the A side versus anybody, so it really doesn't. He doesn't need belts for him to be who he is. But it actually, but dressing wise, to
It
the
makes the event bigger. It definitely.
yeah, and then because he will be the number one guy in terms of beating the guy that is the number one guy. So I get what you're saying because, like Steven said, you know, Smith is the number one guy for a reason. He defeated George Groves, won that vacant ring title and the WBA super title. So until he's unseated, he's that guy.
so I actually like it, and I am looking at Canelo going forward. I can see him fighting on all the platforms for the next couple of years. I don't think he's going to sign a long-term deal with Top Rank, Matchroom, PBC, whoever has the best fight. He is going to do so. If it's PBC with Charlo, Benavidez, whoever it is, to me, that's what he's going to do. And the Matchroom got an offer for him. He's going to pay that money on his own.
Yeah, I think pretty much that's how he should. I mean, he's a big guy, so he can demand an easy 30, 40 billion or whatever it is his number is. And all right, you want me on your services for 1 or 2 fights, and that's it. And then, you know what I'm saying? So he can pretty much, he got the Floyd Mayweather juice, man. He can squeeze them for all they want, all he want, and it's just up to him. You know what I'm saying?
So we're going to jump into the next topic. One I really wanted to get into the Wilder situation. And I am going to go first with it. To me, looking at everything, to me, him actually talk about Mark Breland was the thing that kind of turned me off. I don't really see Mark Breland as a guy who is going to spike his water or whatever. To me, that was all. What he's saying with Fury, personally, I don't think if it's true that will ever be proven. But Fury's character to me tells me, okay, I actually can go with that. Now, is it true? If you ask me my opinion, I'm gonna lean towards yes, personally, but I am looking at it, thinking about it, like, because Fury's he is pop positive for PEDs, he is pop positive for cocaine. To me, his word isn't anything because he's backed out of 2 rematches right now. So to me, that is telling me, can I say that's really against your character right now? No. Now, I don't think they. And another thing that actually called me was Fury saying, "I am not going to sue him for the fame in me." I'm like this because these are pretty damn serious accusations. Most isn't going to let that fly if it ain't true. I mean, it actually still might not be true because I can't put him on anything that isn't proven. But to me, him not going there, because if I'm Wilder, I actually want him to sue. Because actually now we got to get to that discovery phase and then court to see if this is true or not. JG?
I think that half of it is true. I don't believe Mark Breland spiked his water. I think that homeboy was walking back and forth in that locker room, and that's probably what made him more tired than usual. I'm not sure. Like, I was never a boxer, but I was a football player. And one thing that I do know is that the warm ups where you get the hypers in, you end up
Mm-hmm.
tired as I don't know what.
Yep.
And Homeboy was not relaxing at all. Put on that heavy ass suit and walked all the way to the ring. That, in my opinion, is why he probably felt a little bit more tired than usual. But I do think that there's something along the lines in those gloves, possibly. And I do think he got hit in the back of the head. You know what I mean? And I think that Fury was holding him a lot of the night and hitting him in the back of the head most of the time. So if you want to say that that was the cheating, I'd agree with that. But I also really expected this for a third fight because the second fight was such a drubbing that in order to sell a third fight, you kind of got to pull out all the stops like this because it's already contracted or it was contracted. I'm not sure if they're going to still go through with it.
Because
But
I know they're in arbitration. Well, they are set to go into arbitration next
Next
week.
week.
yeah, but they gotta find a reason for people to want to watch that fight or tune in. So I mean, from what most people saw from the second fight, a lot of people are turned off because they feel like Fury already 22 of the 24 rounds anyway, or not 24 rounds, however long it was. He only lost 2 rounds in their mind, so why would they watch it again?
Brett.
Me?
Oh, yeah.
Um, man, it's a lot of layers to this. One, you know, I don't know anybody personally on either team, so I'm not going to vouch for anybody's character. Now, I see a lot of people in the media taking sides. I don't know them, so I can't vouch for anybody's character. But you did bring up a good point. Tyson Fury has tested positive for PEDs before, and that's something people haven't talked about. Um, Wilder, my man, the DMV fanatic, he brought up a great point, man. Wilder's like a really, really hype guy. When they do all that screaming and stuff in the locker room, that can have an effect on you. You know what I mean? When you real hyped up like that. And when I saw him coming down with that big suit on and those like lights flashing in front of his eyes with the metal suit, I'm like, damn, man, what is that? That's not something you want to put on your body getting ready for a fight. People use it as an, say that they making excuses. So I'm not gonna make an excuse for anybody, but I'm telling you that I wouldn't let my guys do that. You know what I mean? Having bright red lights flashing in your eyes and you walking down with metal all over your body,
And you
it
sweat
does
too.
something. It does something to you. You know what I mean? Like we have inswells in the corner to take swelling down. The reason why it takes swelling down because it cools you off. And to put metal all over your body and then put bright lights in your eyes, it can have a real negative effect on like your depth perception, your body, everything. So when I saw that, I was like, wow. You know what I mean? It's cool with the marketability and everything and coming down and all that kind of stuff. You selling the pay-per-view and stuff. But I definitely thought to myself, damn, man, that's really, really risky. You know, the one thing I'll say about the cheating accusations is, that's why we live in America. They got courts for that. Somebody accuse you of something that you didn't do, sue their ass. You know what I'm saying? I really feel that way. That's defamation of character. That's serious. I mean, pretty much, accusing Mark Breland of what he doing that's like treason. You know what I mean? He was his coach. Fighters may not want to work with him no more. So I don't know enough about it. The glove situation, here's what I'll say about that, and I'll leave it alone. I don't know what they put in Fury's glove or not. Um, Anybody could take a still shot, a quick still shot, and make something look a certain kind of way. But commission people, right? Commission personnel, I've caught fighters doing things that they weren't supposed to do. So when people say stuff like, well, the commission was in the room, those guys are like, they ain't like these FBI examiners. They like dudes that work in law enforcement that's retired that got like little part-time jobs with the commissions when the fights come to their city. I had a fight once with a kid that was 160 pounds. If y'all know anything about boxing, anything 147 and below, they wear 8-ounce gloves. Anything 147 and above, they wear 10-ounce gloves.
Mm-hmm.
A dude from the commission came in our dressing room and gave us a pair of 8-ounce gloves for a fight at 160 pounds. I told the dude from the commission, I was just an honest guy. I'm like, yo, man, he's too big to wear these gloves. You can't do that. And I explained to him the rules. He didn't even know. And he was a member of the commission and he assigned us our gloves. I had another fight where Julian Williams was fighting Freddie Hernandez. And I noticed that Freddie Hernandez trainer was putting gauze, tape, gauze, and tape on his hands. When you wrap in somebody's hands, you're supposed to put gauze and tape, and that's it. In that order. So it's not supposed to be it because any other order is called stacking the wraps. You guys may not know that, but that's what it's called. It gets wet, it turns into a cast. So
Because
after you
what they was accusing Tito of.
Like the plaster
no,
Paris, like
no,
the
that's
plaster.
different. That's different. They was accusing Tito of wearing too much gauze. But with Freddie Hernandez, his trainer was putting gauze, tape, gauze and tape, right? So when I got there, one of his hands was already wrapped. So when I seen him doing that, I said, yo, you can't do that. So he went to the commission. Commission told him I was right. So I said, yo, unwrap the other hand. Because if he did it with this hand in front of me, I'm sure he did it with the other hand. The fight is on YouTube. It's Julian Williams versus Freddie Hernandez. If you notice the Fox Sports 1 telecast, it took a little longer because we was in the back arguing. And I said, well, we just won't fight. So when people say that Tyson Fury could not have done anything because the commission was there, I always say you can sneak stuff in on people from the commission if they're not paying attention. Now, I don't know if you can sneak stuff in on people from Wilder's team. I don't know if they was paying attention. But sometimes, man, guys be in the locker room, they don't pay attention. They be talking on their phones. They be having conversations. They don't be looking at everything. So this is one of those cases, man, where I've been completely neutral. I mind my business, and I want to see more facts come out before I take a side. Because I don't know either one of those guys to vouch for their character. You know what I'm saying? And these are some serious accusations. This is not just, this is not nothing that you just sneeze at. This is serious stuff. So I'm kind of waiting for more things to come out, before I decide, who's telling the truth and who's not.
Joel?
Man, I think that the way Wilder is going about it in terms of throwing Breland under the bus is whack. You know what I'm saying? This guy has been with you, I think, since you started your pro career. You know what I'm saying? So why would he all of a sudden turn on you in the biggest fight of your career? Why? Why would he have to? What would he gain from that? You know what I'm saying? He's already well respected. He's a 1984 Olympic gold medalist, two-time WBA welterweight champion. So the guy has done his work in boxing as a fighter and a trainer. I just don't see him sweeping the rug up on the Wilder like that. You know what I'm saying? In terms of Fury, y'all said it. I mean, you test positive for PEDs, we got to look at you sideways. You test positive for cocaine, got to look at you sideways. You balloon up to like 200 plus pounds over your fighting weight, we got to look at you sideways. You know what I'm saying? But I think that Wilder, he just not taking his loss well. You know what I'm saying? Which is, I guess, is understandable. He didn't expect it. Leading up to the fight, you expect this guy to knock me out and then to actually get knocked out. You know what I'm saying? It hurts the ego even more, you know what I'm saying, than a regular just, it was respectful, boom, 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 boom. But to get dropped, it was a one-sided fight. You know what I'm saying? Whether you want to say he got hit behind the head, I mean, he did so much, like Breadman said, wearing a 40-pound costume is not smart. And that's where you got to have some real people in your corner say, you know what, I understand you want to do it for the culture. You want to, da-da-da-da-da. But, like, bro, you going against a guy that gave you hell the first time. He bigger, got a longer reach, agile. Like, just keep it simple. Play the music, have D Smoke come out, do your thing. Focus on the fight. And then he trying to, if you watch before they got in the ring, the undercard, like, Fury would do something. You know what I'm saying? Then Wilder would do it. It's like they was playing games and shit. You know what I'm saying? And I think that Wilder ain't cut off to play those type of mental weird games that Fury get off on. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, he got inside his head. And Wilder, man, I mean, we got to put blame on the fighter. You got a lot of yes man in your corner. Shit like this gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? And me and JG, we all done talked about this off camera. As a fighter, your goal is to get better. It's to always improve. And Breadman, You know this. You probably on your fighters all the time. Even though you do this well, we still try to work on other stuff. You know what I'm saying? We trying to make you a well-oiled machine.
Well, here's the thing, man, about that. I'm glad you brought that up, man. You know, when a fighter loses by stoppage, you can pretty much bet 80% of the time he's going to change trainers. That's how boxing is. It's really, fighters are wired a certain kind of way, and the egos have to be shielded. And it's embarrassing. Social media is tough. You got these trolls and these casuals that say all kinds of disrespectful stuff to these guys. It's extremely hard for a fighter to get knocked out, get stopped, and embarrassed, and not blame his trainer. It's unfortunate, but it happens. I kind of felt that night they was gonna get rid of Mark Breland, because it's like that's how a fighter has to compartmentalize the loss. What else is he gonna say? So it's kind of the way the game has to go. Now these accusations, this is next level, but you got it. You know, I expected something to happen. That's really hard for a guy to accept, man. You got to be conditioned for that in this game. You got to be conditioned to lose your job if a dude gets stopped. That's the way it works.
And I feel you, but my thing, it is one thing, like you said, to get fired is cool. Hey, we didn't outgrown each other, so we're gonna part ways. But then, like you say, throw major accusations out there towards him. It's like you would just tell me that you was looking for somebody to blame. I think we all would agree that Breland did the right thing. Wilder has a whole fiance, a wife, a whole bunch of kids that I'm pretty sure would miss him more than his friends would, you know, if he was passed away. You know what I'm saying? So
he got rid of the wrong guy. He got rid of the wrong guy. He got rid of the wrong guy, in my opinion.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know what I find interesting about that? I'm gonna tell y'all something, man. When the people from the commission come in the room, right, they say, who's the chief second? Right? And then they say the chief second is the person that can stop the fight. Well, Wilder's team, from everything that I've researched, even though Mark Breland is popular, he is the Olympian, he's the ex-world champion. Jay Diaz has been there longer, and Jay Diaz has more clout. So I think it was a thing where Jay Diaz is technically the chief second, and that's his call. And I'm not getting into who's right or wrong, because stopping the fight is a matter of perception. But what I am going to say is that I'm just asking all you guys, if you guys are the head coach and your assistant stops a fight, that's, to me, that's a lack of communication amongst the team. And it's not a right or wrong, but it's a lack of communication. Because if I'm working with any of y'all, let's say we all working in the corner together, right? And I'm the head coach, I would expect y'all to say, hey, Steve, he's taking the beating. Let's think about stopping it. I wouldn't expect you to get up and just throw the towel in, because there is a protocol amongst the team. And if you're objective, there is a protocol. So I think that that's something amongst their team that was a lack of communication, because Breland actually just jumped up and stopped the fight. And if you look at Ali versus Larry Holmes, people was jumping around telling Angelo Dundee not to stop the fight. Angelo Dundee screamed, watch the 10th round of that fight. He says, I'm the chief second. I'm calling the fight. Bundini Brown, the guy that used to do all the rhymes and stuff with Ali, they didn't want him to stop the fight. But Angelo Dundee pulled rank. So I'm hoping that somebody can interview the referee or the commission person for that fight. Because when he walked in that dressing room, and this is what good, this is why I don't really like boxing reporters, man. Not saying none of y'all cool, but nobody does any investigative work. Because what you're supposed to do is ask the referee or the person from the commission, you know, who was declared the chief second in that corner on that night. Because that's the most important thing right there. And to me, it seems like that Jay Diaz is dug deeper in their team than what Mark Breland is, because Jay Diaz didn't lose his job. Mark Breland did. So that let me know that Jay Diaz is deeper in that team than what Mark Breland is. And from my perception of it, I think Jay Diaz was the chief second and Mark Breland was more of a assistant or co-trainer. And I think that Mark Breland overstepped his boundaries in that in their team's opinion. Not my opinion, but in their team.
I get what you're saying. Even though it was morally right, he should have just kind of. But didn't they go before that? Didn't Weren't they talking about it though? I thought I heard in the corner they was like, "You're not looking good." Didn't JD say something like that? Or I know still he got to make that call, but
I can't remember if he did, but it's still his call to make as
yeah,
the chief second.
yeah I
My,
think Wilder should have looked at the whole team though, man. Even JD is like because he ain't really. I mean,
Well,
okay,
here's
we
the
don't
thing.
know.
We've been
Here's
saying
the
that even when Wilder was winning fights, we thought that he could be a little bit better than what he was.
I got something for y'all that's in fairness. If Tyson Fury slipped something in his gloves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who from Wilder's team was in the dressing room when he gloved up? Because that person missed something. If we're gonna do that, if you're gonna do that, you gotta look at everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So somebody missed something.
Yeah, it honestly that's why I say you got to have some people that's gonna speak up. I mean, not to just always be that guy or girl to say something just whatever, but boxing, like Wilder said all the time, you don't play boxing. That means as a fighter, you don't play it. Your chief second, your assistant, your cut man, y'all gotta all be on the same, wavelength, paying attention to everything because you don't necessarily lose a fight in the ring. I mean, you can lose it before you even put them gloves on, or once you put them gloves on. Look at Margarito and Cotto won, and look what the great late Nazeem Richardson caught for Shane Mosley and Margarito. So I mean, everybody could have been done something better, in my opinion, in Team Wilder, to prevent what we witnessing now.
because I have told y'all guys for months, Wilder lost before he ever stepped in the ring.
Yeah.
I have been saying that since about March. Because to me, look at as soon as he gets there, he is walking all the way from his Sky Suite to the MGM Grand. That is like almost a mile walk. Then it is smoke through the casino. They actually walking through the chef's lounge. It actually takes him 15 minutes to walk from his room down actually to get to his dressing room. And if you watch Fury, he actually took a short ride and then drove in. I'm like, you actually, and like y'all said earlier, he actually never sat down the whole time. All he did was burn energy.
Pace back and forth, just
He actually had a bunch of nervous energy and it's burning. I'm like this. Whew. And the only reason why I noticed it on the ring walk, because I actually do my little ring walk playlist, and I was watching the ring walks. I'm like, something is different. If you go back in his last 3 ring walks, and you can go on YouTube and look at them, Wilder's fresh. He is ready from the Ortiz too. Who actually did he fight before? Brazil.
Areola.
Then if you look at him going into the Fury 2 match, he is like hobbling. He actually barely got over the ropes. I'm like, something ain't right.
40-pound suit.
Well, you know what I noticed? I always thought that Deontay Wilder's talent and his ability to knock you out was in his speed of his first step. He could kind of like shock you when he hit you. And he had a really, really like fast first step. If you guys watch basketball, some guys got really, really like fast, explosive first steps, like a Russell Westbrook. And I didn't understand why he wanted to be so heavy. Because he was already knocking dudes dead at 215 pounds. I didn't understand why he put that extra weight on. I was like, damn, is that going to slow him down? Because some people think that bigger means more powerful, but it depends on where you get bigger at. It depends on how you get bigger. So I always thought he was a beautiful puncher. I mean, that's the best thing about him, his ability to punch and strike fast. And he was deadly 215, 216, 217. I didn't understand why he wanted to be so heavy. And if you look at this fight, he slowed himself down a lot. And Wilder's gift is his speed, his ability to land and punch. And there's a lot of guys that punch hard, man. All heavyweights punch hard. Nobody wants to get hit in the face by somebody 200 and something pounds. But he would punch you and shock you. He would hit you with a shot that your body couldn't brace for. And if your body can't brace for it, that's when your neck snaps and you get concussed. And I didn't understand why he wanted to slow himself down. So I'm really curious even if it's gonna be a trilogy, who knows? But will he view that as a mistake of just balking up? Because he was, I mean, what was he, 41-0 with 40
Yeah.
knockouts? Like, how much more power do you need? I didn't
Yeah.
understand the wanting to put on 15, 20 pounds of extra weight when you was already knocking people out. But
Let me ask you a question, bro, man, if you don't mind, Elton.
Yeah.
So say hypothetically, say he brought you, he said, Bray, man, I want you to train me. What would be some of the things that you will work on first? Considering 35 years old, he a damn near, he in the game now. But what do you see that you could add to his game to make him, a little more versatile in a short amount of time? Considering I don't know what's his span left in the boxing, but just off of your expertise, what would you pinpoint and say, this is what we got to do?
the first thing I would do, man, is that me and Deontay would go away, just us, for a couple of days with nobody else from his team around, and we would really, really talk, get to know each other. And I would ask him what he think went wrong, because we could sit around and speculate all day long, but I would need to know in his heart, is he holding himself accountable for anything that went wrong? And then I would tell him what I think went wrong, and I will hope that the things would match. And one of the things that I would say to him was that I wanted him to come in this fight about 215, 216 pounds, because I don't care how big Tyson Fury is or what he's going to do. I believe Deontay Wilder's advantage in boxing is his speed, his ability to land that fast, hard right hand. When he hits those guys with that shot, they don't even see it coming. It's like a sucker punch. That's why it's knocking them out like that, because it's a sucker punch. They can't even see it. So the heavyweights are so big and slow, they don't have time to brace for it. Technically, what you don't want to do, man, is change a guy too much. A fight is a traumatic experience. And fighting under the gun like that with people and getting hit back and things like that, you can't do but so much. You're not going to turn Deontay Wilder into Joe Louis. You're just not. I will work on a better jab. He could use his lead hand a little bit more. I'll work on a better jab. I would tell him to come in about 215, 216. I will work on small little counter steps to take away Fury, because Fury is going to rush him for now. No, Fury's going to try to bully him around and just beat him up, because he realized that Deontay really can't fight going backwards. So we'll work on counter steps. And believe it or not, the last thing I will work on is composure. Y'all keep talking about him walking around and being all hype and all that kind of stuff. That shit matters in a fight, man. Before the fight, him walking and all that kind of stuff. I would talk about being calm and composed, because Fury fought great, right? But I'm going to tell you something that I always keep saying to people that ask me about this fight. When you fight lights out like that and you better than you ever been before, like, I'm going to use basketball as an analogy. I love basketball. I play basketball. Even a dude like LeBron James, man, if he get 50, you know what the odds is of him getting 50 the next night? Is slim and none. It's hard to keep getting 50. Your baseline average come in. Fury was lights out in that fight against Deontay Wilder. We never seen Fury look that good before. He might not be able to do that again. You know what I'm saying? Deontay raised his game up a little bit, get his speed back, educate his left hand, work on small little steps with his feet. He's not over his head in that fight, but he got to be composed. It seemed like there was the energy of chaos around Deontay. And you don't need that, man. You don't need all them people around you, man. Everybody have their own opinion. Everybody got something to say. You get like the energy of confusion. Everybody's telling you what you should be doing, and they notice this and they notice that, and, wear this outfit and do that. You don't need all of that, man. I don't even like people around me or my guys before we going into battle, because I'm the one sweating it out in the gym with them. So why should all these people have all of these different influences over what we doing, and I'm in the gym by myself getting beat up on the pads and the heavy bags, waking up early in the morning? So I would talk to him about the way that I do things and let him know that, and I will go over the things I just went over. I work on his jab, his weight, his feet, and we will work on composure, man. Tyson Fury, the thing that I respect the most about him is that joker's crazy. And sometimes, man, when you mentally crazy and ill like that, that shit works for you in the fight. He's crazy for real. You know what I'm saying? Licking Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder hit him with that right hand in the first fight. I was live there. That Joker got up, man. That was a hell of a shot to get up
I thought
from.
it was
So
dead.
you can't play crazy with him, man, because he's seriously deranged. You know what I mean? Listen, death is the most final thing that you can do. And that Joker was about to kill himself. He talks about that. So his mind goes to a different place than the average person. So you can't play crazy with him and doing all his antics because you're not gonna win that. You know what I'm saying? You want to taste the man's blood and all that kind of sick stuff. You gotta that's his thing. Deontay gotta be calm and composed and try his best to land that right hand the way he was able to do in the first fight, because he can do it, you know, and that would just be my thing, and I would see where he's at. And if he wasn't where I needed him to be, I'd just be like, all right, you know, I can't train you then. But I would really want to talk to him to see what he think went wrong. You know what I mean? Because I would be curious to know what he think, aside from, you know, spiking his water and all that kind of stuff. It would be something I would be curious about to see where he's at with that.
Yeah, I definitely want to hear him kind of like just not too strong. I just want to hear him talk, like you said, calm with an interview and be like, man, look, I'm gonna be real. You know, I still feel that type of way. But if you asking me as a man, what I feel, you know, I went wrong, I'd like to hear that answer, because there's only
Mm-hmm.
so much blaming others that you gonna have to do before you look in the mirror and like, damn, I gotta fight. These mothers can't fight for me. So I mean, if they do get a third match and if everything on the even playing field and you still lose, what you gonna
Then
say then?
See, that's why
You gonna finally admit that you should have been doing what everybody been saying, that had your best interest in heart?
That's why fighters gotta be careful with blaming people when they lose. Because if you fix the circumstances and you still lose, then it's all you, buddy. So really
Yep.
what you're doing is you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself, because if you fix those circumstances and you still don't come through, man, you got that mirror, man. That mirror is a truth machine. So you gotta be careful with that, man, when you try to blame people, man. So I don't know. You know, I wish him the best, man. I'm a big Deontay Wilder fan, actually. I think he overachieved in his career. You know, he's a light heavyweight for this era. You know, he don't weigh a lot. He obviously don't have like elite level boxing skills. He had a short amateur career, and he got 10 title defenses and made a lot of money, man. You know, so I respect what he did in boxing.
You know, he's a fellow Alabama native, so I hope he can get back on the saddle, man, and reclaim his title. But you know, we'll see.
yep. So let's get into the fights. We gonna start with Bud and Brook coming up this weekend. Brad, man, I let you go first.
I like Bud Crawford. I think he's the best fighter in the world. I think Kell Brook is a real skillful guy, but he hasn't made 147 pounds for a really long time. And I've always thought he struggled to make weight. And then now he hasn't made the fight, made the weight in 3 years. It's not going to get easier. As you know, the older you get, your metabolism slow down more, and it is harder to lose weight. So, just common sense tells you that the weight is going, you might can make the weight, but being able to perform at the weight for 12 rounds is not easy. Also think Bud Crawford is a little bit better than he is. He's hot. He's a great finisher. He's a mean dude. People say that about him, but I know it's certain things that I see in fighters. I know about fighters. And to be the kind of finisher that he is, you got to be very confident. You got to be very mean. Because I don't think he's like that big of a puncher. But he's always finishing guys because he has a high IQ. He knows how to put his punches together the right way. And he's a mean joker. He really, really puts it on you. So I think that Brook will be skillful, land some shots, do well early part of the fight. But as time goes on, I think I could see a corner stoppage around 9th or 10th round.
Mike?
You know what, with this fight, it's I mean, for me, if this was years ago, maybe I'll be more excited about it. But like you said, look, Brook ain't made 147 almost 4 years. He been fighting at 154. The next thing is, I mean, if we be honest, who has Brook been fighting to deserve a shot at the proposed pound for pound #1 fighter in the world. Honestly, what has Brook done of late that says he deserves this fight? Nothing. So to me, I mean, I'm gonna say it like this: Is Bud Crawford a talented fighter? Yes. Do I feel he's pound for pound #1? No. But that's a whole nother story. But with this fight, I got him. I got him winning, and I got him being. Look, it's gonna be the typical Bud Crawford fight. He gonna lose the first 4 to 5, 6 rounds. Round 7, he catch on and start putting in the body work and all that good stuff, and then stop Brook around the 11th round. But I mean, see, my only issue with Bud is I want him to like really challenge himself. I see no reason possible why he turned down that fight with Porter. None. That's my opinion. Why turn that fight down? Then you fight Brook, and when people criticize you, then you get upset on social media. I don't get it. You had every out that you could take, and you took the road of least resistance, and you wonder why people are constantly getting on you on social media. Dude, you are an elite fighter. You have to fight other elites. If you're not gonna fight other elites, jump off the toilet and relinquish the belt. If you just want money grabs, go get your money grab.
Because I don't really have no horse in the race. I think that
go ahead.
I think that if Crawford could do it all over again, he probably wouldn't have signed that last deal with Top Rank because all of the big fights are over at PBC.
I would hope so.
But I pride myself on being a fair person. And when you brought Sean Porter up, let's just play devil's advocate, right? If I'm Bud Crawford, you know what I would say to you if you said that to me? I'm fighting the guy that beat Sean Porter.
What's that?
How you gonna complain about Kell Brook? And Kell Brook beat Sean Porter better than anybody ever had. And I would really like for your response to that because he did, and he beat him clean here in America on a PBC card. So if you're gonna say he should have fought Sean Porter,
he really did.
You definitely can't have a problem with Kell Brook if you really think about it.
But see, the thing is, I'm gonna use a quote from a great musician. She says,
"Well,
what
Sean
have
Porter
you done
just
for
lost
me
to
lately,
Spence.
though?"
Yes,
and a tight and a competitive
that was
fight.
a hell of a
Very
fight.
competitive.
I don't disagree with that at all. But that's why. See, one thing about a fighter's resume, because Terrence Crawford don't have a great resume. Let's be honest. But what it is solid because he's beating world-class solid guys. He's not beating great fighters, but he's beating solid guys. And he's beating guys that other guys fight and they have trouble with and lose to. You know, Victor Postol is a capable guy. You see that fight with Jose Romero? You understand him?
Exactly. I think he beat Ramirez.
And that's why it's tricky with Crawford's resume because he smokes guys that everybody else have trouble with. And it's weird. That dude, Felix Diaz, the Olympian, remember the gold medalist dude? He got a bad decision versus Lamont Peterson and don't nobody act like they remember it.
Yeah, I remember that.
You understand what I'm trying to say? So keep going.
I'll give him that.
That Benavidez kid, that kid was a big deal coming out the amateurs. He was undefeated. You know, so I'm just careful about that. I don't think he got a great resume. I think it's just solid. But I don't nitpick his resume the way other people do because I'll give you another example. Ugas is a solid guy, right? Right? Yeah. Sean Porter struggled with Ugas and people thought he lost that fight. Am I right? Exactly. Okay, well, you being honest, right?
Too.
Okay,
now
here's the funny part. Ugas got about 4 or 5 losses, right?
No, I think
Ugas only got 1 loss.
We ain't talking about disputed losses. We talking about actual losses. He got about 4 of them.
He got about 4 losses. Yeah. Look at his box record.
He lost his first couple, which was
lost to Ray Robinson.
Yeah. So listen though, he beat Ray Robinson. Ray Robinson from Philly, but he did lose that man in a couple other fights. But listen, if Terrence Crawford fights a dude like Ugas that got 3-4 losses and beats him, won't nobody give him no credit for it. And those are the level of guys. Okay, but listen,
I will.
But Ugas
I'll
and
give him credit for
are
that.
the same guy as far as ability is concerned. They really are. give or take a point here or a point there. So my point is that he beats these
Right.
solid guys that other guys struggle with the same exact level of guy, and they don't get and he get like a bad rap for it. That's all I'm saying. Okay, I'm gonna give you another example.
Right.
Yuriorkis Gamboa, Olympian, excellent fighter, all of that.
Mhm.
He have a couple of good rounds on Crawford. Crawford puts him in the body bag. 6 years later, these uber talented kids is picking on Gamboa. He's fat, he's out of shape, he's old, and they can't stop him. Think about that. So Crawford, his consistency is sort of spoiling people with his consistency of his performances. And I don't know Terrence Crawford. Sometimes people, accuse you of knowing somebody and being cool with him. I don't know Terrence Crawford. I know his trainers, but I don't know Terrence Crawford at all. Never met him before. But
Right.
he is the most consistent fighter in the world. He's the only top elite fighter that doesn't have one controversial win or loss. Everybody else is, the stuff is controversial, except for the guy Enal, and he had a tough fight versus Nonito Donaire, even though I thought he won. And I think that we nitpick Crawford's resume a little bit too much if you really, really look, because besides at welterweight, he's beaten the best available guy. Because if you guys remember, Prograis, Taylor, and Ramirez had not emerged yet at 140 by the time Crawford had left. They were on the come up. They was
Right.
more like
They were on the
prospect.
come
They
up.
wasn't. They hadn't emerged yet. Now his resume at welterweight is lacking. He needs to beat better guys at welterweight, and he needs to fight top 5 and elite guys. I'm not saying that, but at 135 and 140, he beat the best available guys, and guys struggle with the same guys that he knocked out. I'm just telling y'all. If you look at all of the other top guys across the board, Keith Thurman, excellent fighter. Keith Thurman had a tough time with the Mexican dude.
Josito
Yes,
Lopez.
Terrence Crawford
Josito
can't even
Lopez.
fight him. He can't fight him. If he fought him, the social media would kill him. So you got to realize this. The only person that's been as dominant as Crawford is Earl Spence. And Earl Spence didn't dominate Sean Porter. I felt as though he needed a knockdown to win the fight. That was a close, competitive fight. Other than that, Earl Spence has been dominant. But Spence's resume is Porter and Brook, right? That's his resume. Everybody else.
And Garcia, if you want to throw just accolades alone, I don't really, we knew that was an easy win, but accolades,
Okay,
I guess you can throw them in there.
You know what? I give him credit for that. Because, Mikey Garcia was a champion at 140. They made it seem like he was moving up 2 weight divisions, but people seem to forget that he had beat Lipinets, who's a really solid fighter, at 140. So that's a real win. Guys move up. You know what I'm saying? That's a real win. And Mike Garcia still haven't lost another fight. So that's real. I give him that. That was a big time win. But I don't think Crawford's resume is that bad. I think that he just showed a lot of loyalty to Top Rank, and I get that. They put him on when he wasn't on. So you got to, show some loyalty. But I think it came back to bite him a little bit in the end because they haven't been able to deliver him the fights that he needs to solidify himself. And he's 33, so, that counts.
Jarrell?
I mean, shit. He's going to beat the hell out of Brook. I mean, that's what it's going to be at that point. I mean, it's what it is, man. Brook ain't the same fighter. Redman said he had made 147. And I say that with all due respect to all these fighters. He's just going to lose. He hadn't made 147 in 3 years. I don't trust either orbital bone to stand up to the pressure and power and speed that's going to be coming its way. You know what I'm saying? And then he's been so inactive. It ain't that he just hadn't made 147. He hasn't fought a lot, since, Golovkin in the Spence fights. I mean, I feel like Crawford knows what he's standing across of. He's going to go in there and try to make easy work. He's going to go in there. He might break him down or wait a couple rounds and calculate him, get his rhythm and get his, tendencies down. And after that, once he switched to southpaw, is all she wrote. And another brick down on his resume. Simple as that. It ain't too much to really say. But Brook is a good fighter. Fighter.
You know what I wonder about?
All right, real quick. Now, if Brook beats him, how much of an upset is that?
I mean,
I'm asking for
it's not no
everybody.
huge. It's not. I don't think it's a huge upset, man.
I
I
think
mean,
it's upset. I do.
historically,
I think that's
historically,
a huge
I just
upset,
think
bro.
based on Brook not really being that active and then coming back to 147, like I really don't think he's a shot.
are you talking about like historically, like a huge like that?
Not really, because really like y'all saying, Bud's resume is solid. If he loses, then it's I told you when he get in there with somebody real.
Right.
It's not Tyson Douglas level upset,
Yeah.
but that's a big upset, man.
Yeah.
When a number one pound for pound fighter loses to a guy that he should beat, that suffered career threatening. A broken face is career threatening. This man had 2 broken faces. That's what happens when it's bone. This is your face. He's had 2 broken faces on both sides. So this is a big upset. I mean, I don't know what Terrence Crawford right now is about a 20-1 favorite.
Woo.
So
Yeah.
anything over 4-1 is big. So this ain't no. I went to go bet on this fight, man. It was minus 2,000. So I don't know what y'all consider a big upset, but you win some money betting on Kell Brook if anybody think he can win this fight. So it's a big upset. It will be the upset of the year, dude. The number one fighter in the world.
Yeah, and that's maybe okay. I see what y'all saying. Yeah, it would be a big upset, but I just don't. I mean, I ain't got to worry. I don't think Terrence Crawford has done. I ain't gonna never say that his boxing all it takes is one punch. Kell Brook has tremendous time and has a good jab, right hand. And we seen the Green Machine drop Crawford in his last fight, even though it wasn't counted. It wasn't called a knockdown. So, I mean, anything can happen, but I think Crawford hears Smooth Cat talking that shit, talking about, man, it's about to go 6-7 rounds. He hear everybody saying this, that, the third, and he like, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? He hear all this stuff. I think that this is the last subpar fight for him. I think after this, he going to get a Spence or a Porter or somebody, you know what I'm saying? I feel like he knows that's it, you know what I'm saying? That's his time at welterweight is coming to an end, I believe, you know what I'm saying? I think he's gonna want to explore some other stuff before he calls it a day. I think he's gonna stop Brook in like 6 or 7.
Yeah, in all honesty, I think he wanted the Keith Thurman fight and it didn't come to fruition for some reason. I mean, I guess they didn't think Keith was worth the $10 million, even though I don't really think that was that, I think $10 million was reasonable for him to ask for, honestly.
Man, bro, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
Especially in this pandemic, though, man. If it was like
maybe his last fight, he can ask for 10. It don't mean he got to get 10. You got to
listen, man.
Right.
Let me
You got to negotiate. You got to crunch the numbers.
Let me tell y'all a secret. I'm gonna tell y'all a secret, man. I know the market value of these fights, man. $10 million for Keith Thurman and Terrence Crawford is a lot of money, brother. Trust me, that's a lot of money. Terrence Crawford and Earl Spence.
But who did Keith just come off of fighting though?
He lost. You can't
lost.
come off of a loss and get a raise.
Yeah,
boxing don't. You can't come off of a loss and get a raise. See that you gotta understand.
Unless you're Adrian Broner.
I was about to say, yeah. I mean, fighters do it all the time.
Who?
Adrian Broner do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Adrian Broner may keep his market value about the same. He don't get a raise. You can't get a raise off of a loss. If he makes $10 million,
all right. Do I think he should get $10 million? No. But is that unreasonable to ask for? No. Based off of what he just did and based off of his stardom. Because he is a star.
But I think the thing with Keith Thurman is that number was, I think that was the number he was set on. I don't think he was willing to come off that $10 million.
I don't know.
But the thing, they wouldn't even negotiate it. The first thing they did was have what's his name? What's Buddy name? I can't think of the trainer name. But first thing he do is got on social media talking about it. I'm like, dude, stop. See, that's the problem with a lot of the what do they call it? The entourage. The entourage always want to get out there.
Man. So I can't.
Right, but he's part of the entourage.
I feel like nobody want to deal with Keith Thurman, man. I feel like don't nobody really trust Keith Thurman.
Here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. If you're talking about Bomac, that's Terrence Crawford's manager too. So he's not a bag carrier. He's part of the negotiation.
Right.
So
absolutely.
None of us have been in the room when they was negotiating, right? So we really don't know. But I'm just gonna tell y'all. The market value for $10 million for one side of this fight is unreasonable. And I'm just going to just break the numbers down for y'all in 30 seconds. I'm going to let y'all understand this. If this fight is a pay-per-view, right? I'm going to give y'all a rough number. Let's just say that it's $50 a buy, right? $50 a buy. When you do pay-per-views, what happens is half of the money goes to the broadcast and the other half goes to the fighters and their teams, right? Let's say this fight does 500,000 buys. Y'all think he could do that?
I think it's better promoted. If it's promoted right,
if it's promoted right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So $50 times 500,000. What's that? 25 million. I can do it. It's 25 million, right?
Okay.
12.5 got to go to the to the networks, right? Right.
Yeah.
So you got 12.5 left. Keith Thurman gonna take 10. Y'all crazy. That's why I be laughing at the fans when people be saying shit. I be like, man, y'all have no idea. So even if the shit was $100, let's say it was $100 a pop. Let's say if they charged everybody $99.99 and it did 500,000, that's 50 million, right? Okay. 25 got to go to the network, and 25 got to go to the to the fighters, right? Okay. That's 12.5 a piece. And that's just to the promoters and the team. That don't got nothing to do with the fighter. You don't understand what I'm saying? That's the fighter didn't get his cut yet. The promoters and stuff got to get their cut. 500,000 pay-per-view buys is a lot. People laugh at that numbers because
200, 300 is a lot right now.
Yes, Mayweather and Pacquiao have spoiled us with $1 million pay-per-view buys. So I'm just telling y'all that Keith Thurman asking for $10 million on his side. The only way you get that is Terrence Crawford fought for free.
All right, but
there's not enough money to go around. Who gonna pay the money?
There would have been 20. There'd have been 12.5 left. All I'm saying is, why couldn't somebody go back to him and say, bro, you can only get 6. You can only get 5. Why did they cut it off right then and there? That's all I'm saying.
Exactly.
That's a good question, but none of us was in the negotiating room. I was just pointing out that 10 million, Terrence Crawford would be the A side in the fight, right? He's the champion. He's not the one coming off of a loss. So he would be the A side in the fight. So if Keith Thurman is making 10, then Terrence Crawford has to make more than that. So what I'm saying is that it's just not enough money to give Keith Crawford 10 and let's say Terrence Crawford 12. That's $22 million that they got to make. It's just not enough. It's not enough space. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. I'm not getting into if Keith Thurman thinks he deserved $10 million, then he's the one taking punches. That's what he deserved. I'm just telling you that he can't get $10 million to fight Terrence Crawford. That's all I'm saying. I think that Terrence Crawford, the only person that can generate that kind of revenue for him is Earl Spence and Manny Pacquiao, because they had a different level. Earl Spence sells out that stadium out there in Dallas. He had a different level. Manny Pacquiao is Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao get $20 million fighting whoever he want to fight. Yep. He's a different kind of guy. You got to just kind of, you got to kind of like bow down to him as far as negotiation, because you're going to be the B side to him. But everybody else, you got to be reasonable where you come in at with your numbers. That's all I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying it's Keith Thurman fault. That's what he want. That's what he want. But I'll tell you this, he's never made that before. You know what I mean? Because when you fight Manny, Manny gonna take the bulk of that money. You know what I mean? So I just don't think it was enough money in the pot for $10 million. If you just go by the math.
And
200,000 buys is a lot in this era right now.
Yeah.
300 is a whole lot.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel
and you guys got to realize, if you guarantee somebody that money, you're on the hook for it. If they sign a contract for that kind of money, you got to give them that check the night of the fight. Who wants to take that loss? You know what I mean? Nobody's in the business of giving somebody $10 million and let's say the show only generates 11. Where are you going to get all the other money from? You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot to the business, man. You just got to just be super careful with, man. You know what I mean? That's why I try not to have these arguments publicly when I hear people discussing these purses, because a lot of, Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, that is a foreign revenue and they heavyweight. So when them guys make $30 million, that's a different level of money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody can't, make their comparisons off of them because they fight in a different division. And Tyson Fury is from the UK, and they're gonna generate different kind of money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just think that, I mean, with Keith Thurman, man, it's hard to take him serious at this point, you know, because like, bro, man, that's the case. You know, you're throwing out a number that you know is a deal breaker. You know what I'm saying? Like Keith Thurman truly believes he worth $10 million, which is nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to believe in yourself or whatever. But if you know for a fact that that number is not gonna come nowhere near close to being reasonable, you're not willing to come off of it more than half, then you don't want to fight. I mean, unless you got somebody else, another person that's gonna put up the money outside of Al Heyman and PBC.
Well, they better hurry up and fight, man, for this young kid, Jerron Ennis, become somebody's mandatory. They better, I'm telling you, man, they better hurry up and get all of that stuff out the way, man, for somebody to be forced to fight that kid, man, because them dudes is over 30. Last thing they want to do is deal with a 23, 24-year-old kid like that, man. That kid is rough work. Trust me. You know, that's what's going to happen. He's going to creep up on somebody mandatory, and they're going to be made to fight him.
Yep, or vacate. So it's like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, he gonna catch one of them when there's a unified too. He gonna catch one of them where you ain't gonna you either fight him or you gonna give up one of them titles. And are you one more fight away from an undisputed bout? So it's like, like you said, you better go ahead and sign on that dotted line and make the money back, you know, or more in the future. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But these fighters don't. I think these fighters don't see it like that. They in it for now, which I understand, but. You gotta see the long haul. You gotta have a long vision when you doing anything. You know what I'm saying? That takes progression and years, and you know what I'm saying. You gotta build up to that. You can't wake up and say, "Well, I'm signed with Floyd. I need that $10 million off bat." You know what I'm saying? It don't work that way.
Yeah, I think they're doing a good job with Gervonta Davis as far as building them step by step, as far as his money and things like that. He's seeming to reach the high level as far as the money he's making, without being in the ring with a cold killer, because that counts. Leo Santa Cruz was a real capable guy, but he wasn't a big puncher and he was smaller. So Gervonta Davis has got to be on pay-per-view and made some big money without putting in the ring in that 50-50 killer kind of fight. You know what I mean? So I think that's a good way to do things the way they did it with him.
Know what I noticed with Al Heyman fighters? He doesn't never have them in the trail position in negotiations. Only damn really Wilder has been in the trail position in a negotiation because he's been chasing fights. Joshua, Fury, no matter if you think his guys are the best or not, he always have them chase you because really if you look at Spence and Bud is chasing Spence even though Bud is considered a better fighter. Spence is going to decide when that fight happens. He actually did it with Floyd and Manny. Even though it was a 50-50 fight, Manny was chasing Floyd. Floyd ended up deciding when this fight's going to happen. They even got it with Tank. All them guys at 135 is chasing him, even though they are resume-wise probably had done more. But all them guys, Tank, when we going to fight? Tank, when we gonna fight? I damn like how he keeps his guys in that, hey, come after me. It actually doesn't even matter if y'all feel these guys are better than me, but you chase me for these fights.
Al Heyman is really smart. He's smart in that way. He understands how to make somebody want something bad enough to a point where they willing to accept what you offer them instead of what they want. He's a real smart guy, man. I learned a lot from him. He's not accessible to the public, but I've had the opportunity to really pick his brain about a lot of stuff, and he's a really intelligent guy when it comes down to that kind of stuff. And that's a good pickup, Elton. He does not so much with the in-house fights, but definitely when it's like those big mega fights where the guys got to go like across the street, he kind of because people may not like this, but Terrence Crawford is going to be the B-side to Earl Spence if they were to fight tomorrow. Because Earl Spence Earl Spence has a pay-per-view fight that did pretty good with Mikey Garcia. He sold out that Texas stadium, and he has those two belts instead of one. So when that does happen, unless Terrence Crawford is with PBC, you know, Earl Spence is gonna have a little advantage in that. And people hate that, but it's Al Heyman's job to do that for his fighters. You know what I mean? That's your job, to get your fighters the advantages in those circumstances. So he definitely does do a good job of that.
Honestly, man, I don't see why fans will hate it long as the fight happening. I mean, at the end of the day, that's their money. We just trying to get entertained and stuff. So
I agree with you, man, but people got so much of an opinion on what guys are making and different things like that. And I never understood it. I never, before I became involved in boxing professionally, I never had too much of a opinion on what a guy was making. I just wanted to see the fight. You know what I mean? Now everybody talks about who you sign with and how much you making and this, that, and the other. Is so bizarre to me that's like a concern of the fans. You know what I mean? And I'll just be like, are they fighting or are they not fighting?
yep.
Shit. Who was my pick? Oh yeah, for this fight, to me, Crawford's gonna beat Brook the fuck up. It is then way too many what ifs with Brook.
You hear that smooth cat?
Who is his trainer? What is about his eyes? Can he make weight? And to me, his character's off for this fight. He is usually a more, to me, reserved character. Now he's making bashful predictions. I am going to stop him. I am going to make him quit. It was sort of like, to me, with Amir Khan versus Bud. If Khan would have been bragging, he has never seen anybody with my speed. I am going to outbox him because nobody's ever outboxed me. I almost would have believed him going into the fight. But then he was calm. I'm like, you was coming in here for a check. Because I don't really believe what he's selling right now.
I agree with you. It's always like that. And after they get that ass whooping, it's like, he's a great fighter. He's the best fighter in the world. Spence need to goddamn fight him next. Yeah. It's always like that, man. So as you watch the sport more, you kind of expect it, and you just like, all right, I ain't gonna buy into that shit.
You got to understand the fighter's ego. Nobody's going to go into the fight and say, I'm going to lose. I'm not the same anymore. I'm going to get my butt kicked. So you got to expect that. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got it. You can't really get mad at that. But I do agree with you. The thing that I noticed about Brook that make me a little less confident in him is that Brook could have had a title shot at 154. Guys was dying to fight Kell Brook at 154. And over the last 3 years, he never even stepped up and took a title shot. So that let me know, I wonder about his ambition, where he's at in his career, where for 3 years he just kind of just sat around and then now he's moving back down to 147. I don't know if this is a money grab or what, but it made me wonder because he could have got a title shot at 54. He just didn't want one.
Yeah, he called up Charlo. I mean, Andre was there at one point. I mean,
everybody wanted to fight.
And I like I said, before we move on to the next, I want this to be a good fight. I want all fights to be good competitive fights. That's what boxing needs. You know what I'm saying? No matter who you root for, you need good fights to push the sport forward. So I hope Brook can come in there and make it a good fight, great fight, you know what I'm saying, and push Crawford. But reality is, and he ain't been at 147 for 3 years, and the odds of him being successful.
Small. He looked smaller. He's normally a big 47 when he was there in his prime. Bud looks way bigger than him right now.
He does.
Bud and grown into the weight comfortably now, so it's
like Brook looked like a little man next to him. So that's a cause for concern.
It actually seemed like Brook pissed Bud off this week.
I think Bud always pissed off fight week.
Yeah, always.
But I don't think that is what he wants this week. Because he had to be chilling. But it was like this. It was like this week.
Well, like I said, man, Brook, like I said, Brook is a world-class fighter. He has been a champion. He beat Porter. He gave Spence hell before he got stopped. So, he's well within his rights to talk his shit, and he got the skills to back it up. It's just, is his face gonna hold up? Can he deal with that? If he can deal with it, then shit, Bud can be mad all he wants. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know what? I was just about to say that. It's a fight. Who cares if he's mad? It's a fight. They got to fight, man. Brook not no punk. He don't care if he making me mad or not. They got to fight.
Well,
And
Terrence
Brook,
got something to prove. Terrence got
you know
something to prove, and I'll tell you why. Because you talked about it a little bit earlier about the leverage between Earl and him. And that's probably going to be the next fight we get, depending on how the Garcia fight go and depending on how the Brook fight go. But this is the fight that put Earl Spence on the map. So it being a common opponent, he got to try and gain some ground that way. He's got to try and he got a chip on the shoulder in order to say, all right, you can't use that name no more. You
that's a very, very good point. Crawford, if he struggles with Spence, that really gives Earl major leverage on him.
Even
Crawford's one of those guys that's self-motivated, so he's probably thinking about that, and that's a really, really good point because he's fighting Brook 3 years after Spence did. So if he struggles with him now, that would definitely. And I agree with you. I do think that we're gonna get Spence and Crawford next because I don't think Pacquiao will fight either one of them. I think Pacquiao probably earned the right to pick and choose who he want. And I don't have no inside information, but if I'm guessing, I think Pacquiao will fight like a Mikey Garcia, somebody a little closer to his size, than to deal with one of them big, strong kids like that. You know what I'm saying? I still can't believe Pacquiao fought Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman can punch, and he's young.
I can't believe I can't believe he did what he did to him. Not to say it was a big skill gap, but the way he dropped him, and he's
he's a special guy, man. You know what I mean? That guys like that come along once every 50 years. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think he's gonna mess around. I just think Earl and Terrence are too big for Pacquiao. But I do think that I don't think either one of them gonna get the fight. So I can see them having to go next. But Earl Spence got to beat Danny Garcia.
Perfect segue. Perfect segue because I got a lot to say about this.
Perfect segue.
Got a lot to say about this fight, man.
Okay, we will get into Spence and Garcia next. I will go first on this one. As a guy who's big on Spence, this one scares me. Because we is talking about the what ifs with Kell Brook. Spence has a bigger what if than anybody. We don't know what's really going to happen the first time he takes a real punch. They saying he's looking good in sparring, but they ain't going to say Spence is getting his ass whooped here every day. That ain't going to happen.
Also, who he in there with, too, because he was, when he was in this, you know what I'm saying, before, he was in there with the Charlos. He was in with all the top guys that was over there all the time. They said he was running shit. Like, who's he in there with now?
Danny ain't the guy you want to get hit. Yeah.
Can I jump in real quick before I have to dip out? You know what I'm saying? If y'all don't mind.
Yeah.
Man, JG, we talked about this early on the phone, man. Spence, he looked different. I mean, obviously, he's been in a major wreck, you know what I'm saying, teeth and all that. He looked different. I'm worried about this fight. Because me and Elsie, we were going back and forth a few months ago. You was like, man, everything you was hearing that he all right. And I was telling you, look, he went flying out of a car. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody, I don't care how good the six-pack come back and you doing that in the gym. You go out of a car at a high speed, you got to be psychologically, physically still scarred. I think it's going to take him another year or so to really feel like, you know what I'm saying? Because I know these training camps, and I can't say 100% because I don't know his body, but I know these training camps even tougher now, you know what I'm saying? Because he's not coming in against a Amir Imam or whoever you think is a tune-up fight, you know what I'm saying? He coming in against a two-division champion who can punch, who got a great chin. He from Philly, you know what I'm saying? He got that Philly heart. I mean, and I want to say this: if Danny Garcia wins this fight, I don't want to see nobody take no credit from him because this fight was set to take place before, you know what I'm saying, Errol Spence did what he did to himself. You know what I'm saying? So make sure we keep that in perspective. They were supposed to fight in January before, Errol Spence decided to do what he did. You know what I'm saying? So if he reaped the benefit of a messed up Spence can't blame nobody but himself because, you know what I'm saying, the responsibility of a fighter is a person. You don't drink and drive. You don't do that. You don't hinder your career. So we're going to give credit to Danny Garcia for however he get the victory if he get it. I feel like Spence is scary, man, because he got a good chin, but he was getting tagged by Sean Porter repeatedly. I mean, repeatedly. And yeah, they got different fight styles and all that. But Garcia is a very patient fighter. And we know that Spence don't mind, coming in and banging with you. And that can play into the hands of a guy like Garcia, because Spence leans over a little bit. He can be there for the uppercut. Of course, the left hook, straight right hand that Sean Porter hit him with. Like, in the late in that fight, he hit his ass so many times. I was like, damn. You know what I'm saying? If Derrick James going to tell him to, watch the right hand, I just feel like at this point, I'm gonna call the upset, man. I'm gonna call. I think Danny Garcia gonna shock the world, man. I think he gonna shock. I think he gonna shock Spence. I think he gonna stop Spence in 8 rounds. I feel like it might be crazy, but I think he gonna stop Spence because I think this is too dangerous of a fight. First fight back from a horrific car accident.
You know what, man? You made some great points. Your job as a fighter, and I know Danny. I admire him. I admire his dad. And I know Earl. I think highly of Derrick James. I like both teams. But if you're fair as a fighter, man, it's your job to do things the right way outside of the ring. So you can't really penalize Danny Garcia because Earl Spence, likes to live a little bit of a party life. Let's keep it real. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna get into details and things like that because that's not really the proper thing to do at this time. But your discipline and things like that outside the ring, that stuff counts, man. You know what I'm saying? Something that he said he didn't remember the accident. I said, wow. You know what I'm saying? That's trauma, man. You know what I mean? That's trauma. It's unfortunately, that's part of our game. You talking to a fighter that a piece of something that happened to him gets erased. You ever talk to a fighter that be knocked out? He don't remember being knocked out. So for those 20 seconds that he was hurt and knocked out, he can't remember. He'll ask you what happened. It's hard to stomach a fighter asking you what happened, but that's what happened. So Earl Spence was basically knocked out in that car. He wasn't knocked out from a punch. He was knocked out from the impact of the accident. And he lost several teeth. So you never know, man. And I remember he fought an African dude when he was coming up and he got hurt. Dude hit him high on his head. You remember that, my man, DMV? Dude hit him real high on his head. I can't remember the guy's name right now. He was a southpaw though. And Sean Porter, I don't know if he hurt Earl, but he was hitting Earl with some weird looking shots. I was like, damn. And Lamont Peterson, watch that fight. Earl kept talking to the referee like, yo, he hit me. And those shots wasn't even in the back of his head. And Danny Garcia throw these weird looping punches, man, that hit you high on the head. And I'm telling you, those shots is worse than getting hit on the chin because they snap your neck and they knock your equilibrium off. This is a super dangerous fight for Earl, man. Danny is tired of people talking about his competition. If he win this fight, he go to the Hall of Fame. I think he's going to put it all out for this fight. And I ain't saying he's going to win, but I think this is going to be a hard fight for Earl.
I think he's a Hall of Famer regardless. But, yeah, that definitely solidifies it if he puts gives the man from Texas his first L, especially in dominating fashion. You ain't gonna never stop hearing Andrew Garcia talk, boy.
Oh my God!
So you're an idiot. You're an idiot. Y'all both idiots. That people like all y'all up here on this panel.
It's safe to say that probably the winner of that fight probably fights Terrence next because they got some bad blood too.
If it's Earl, I don't know, man. I wouldn't be surprised if Danny fought. If Danny retired after he won that fight, man. I'm serious.
Your speculation or something you heard,
No, I just know that when you get a win like that, I know he did his money good. And Danny's one of those guys, man, he's a weird kind of guy. He could beat Earl and then struggle with a guy like Herrera. You know what I'm saying? Danny is, for as good as a fighter as he is, he's not overly dominant because he's not like the most talented guy in the world. What he got is a clutch gene, a big punch, and a good chin. But he's not like, he ain't Pernell Whitaker. We going to win 12 rounds from you. He's not Mike Tyson. He can punch, but he's not that kind of puncher. So Danny kind of guy, he might struggle with a lesser guy. You know what I'm saying? So I can see Danny going. I mean, because being Earl, I mean, you can't get out no higher than that. Crawford would fight him differently than Earl would fight him. So I can see him saying, you know what, I don't need this no more, man. I'm out of here.
He probably fight Pacquiao next. That probably would be the
You
fight.
know what? That's a more winnable fight, and it's an easier fight. You know what I mean?
It's a huge
I can see that.
fight. You walk away from that one,
Yeah, I can see that one. He could get the Pacquiao fight and be able to get he now. If he coming off of Earl Spencer, when he get 10 million for Pacquiao, yeah, he could.
Then he could have 3 titles if he beat Pacquiao. Then maybe he say, you know what? I hear what my man Breadman said, but I'm gonna go one more. I'm gonna just go for the undisputed, and then I'm gonna call it a career.
I love guys that go for legacy, man. But y'all got to realize the era that we in, man. These guys don't really think like that. They don't really, very rarely do you get that fight that you don't have to take. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, it's not like that. People don't think about that in this era. It's more of a business type of thing in this era. So you got to kind of like compartmentalize why guys don't take certain fights.
But Danny's always got those fights where he was picked to lose.
Not recently, but early in his career, yeah. People didn't think he would beat Khan and Matisse. Yeah.
I think I was the only one to pick him to beat Matisse. He beat.
Oh, I did too. It's on video.
Yeah. I wouldn't have believed
I picked him to stop Matisse.
So I just went with him. I didn't know if he could win it or not.
I was like, when Danny took that shot where he it was a clean left hook, I think, early in that fight. Yeah, when he knocked his mouthpiece out. I said that motherfucker right there. He about to. Yeah, I knew he was something special then.
Hey, now I'm gonna add a different element for the Spence and Garcia fight, because Errol Spence has his original what is it called? Some type of trainer, not conditioning trainer. Yeah, he got Blu-ray. He has him back, and he said, from Errol Spence's mouth, he said he's been noticing, he's been slacking in some areas, and he felt that he needed to bring Blu-ray back, and he's bought Blu-ray back. Me, myself, in this fight, honestly, it's a lot of concern with Errol, because he's after, like you say, that traumatic experience, and then another thing, a lot of people are not even thinking about, like, okay, that's like the muscle memory. Like, okay, what happened in the middle of the fight if Danny hits you somewhere where I don't care how many months it's been, something traumatic like that, he hits you somewhere and it brings back memories of the accident and things like that. So you can factor that in too. Me, honestly, I don't see Danny winning the fight. I'm not gonna say he can't win it. I don't see him winning it because I feel like Errol got more tools. And I'm gonna go out on the limb. Errol Spence is gonna be the first man to stop Danny Garcia.
Even more bold than me picking PSG to win. Y'all sleeping on that accident. Not y'all. I'm gonna say y'all, but I mean that's a bold statement, man. I can see him barely making it through this fight. Like, he get dropped a couple times. And he he won a majority decision or something like that. I don't think it's gonna be
listen, man. Fight. Let me just say this to y'all, because I gotta get off here for a second, man. But I'm just gonna tell you this: Earl is rightfully the favorite in the fight. He's the bigger, more rangier, more athletic guy. But Danny is live in the fight. I'm not gonna pick a winner. Danny's super live in the fight.
Oh, absolutely.
But I want to just say this one thing: before the accident, Earl struggled with Sean Porter.
Bad.
You have to take that into major consideration. While I'm watching that fight, everybody goes back and scores fights late, right? After your mind is already, your subconscious has already heard the controversy, or you can sway things a different way. But your initial reaction is the most important reaction, because that's what the judges have to deal with when they're watching the fight as it happened. And as I'm watching that fight, you know what I'm saying to myself? Damn, I can't tell who's winning. That was a close fight. Earl showed the great clutch gene and knocking him down and pulling the fight out. I think he deserved the victory. But that was a really, really close fight. And Danny Garcia is pretty much equal to a fighter as Sean Porter, in my opinion. Sean Porter beat him by decision, but if I look at them as fighters, I think that Danny Garcia is pretty much equal to him. So even before the accident, I think it would have been really, really competitive. So this is a really, really competitive fight. It really is, man. You know, it is a lot more competitive than people may want to believe.
Even more so now. Even like I said, I thought it was gonna be a tough fight before the accident, but now it's like, man, you don't know. That's the one of the things that make this fight exciting because you just don't know which Spence you gonna get. You gonna get the granite chin, or the one that's gonna keep coming, or you gonna get the one that's gunshot. What about that? What if he can't let his hands go?
I
What if
think
he can't let his hands go?
And gets the rounds in because Danny's a really good fighter, but I think he's more cautious in this fight because as much as we want to admit it, besides Brook, this is probably the hardest puncher he's going to face in his career. You know what I'm saying? So he's probably going to box and stay behind the jab a little bit more and not, so much in the phone booth and right in front of him because, I mean, at the end of the day, nobody – because he still would have to withstand body punches from Danny too. And as you can see in the Keith Thurman fight, those body punches hurt just as much. So I could definitely see him trying to box from the outside, being the longer, rangier guy.
I think that's a good point, and I'm gonna point something out. The Mikey Garcia fight, people forget that fight. Mikey Garcia, who can punch to the general public and who can punch amongst the fighters is a little different. Everybody talk about how hard Mikey Garcia punch in the gyms. He may not look like it, but Mike Garcia is known as a really, really hard puncher. Earl made that fight boring. All he did was just use a jab and a little step back and just completely shut Mikey Garcia out. So he does have that facet to his game. And I literally was thinking to myself, you know what? He might act like he's going to try to walk Danny down and might just box and use his jab and just win an easy decision and say, forget that, man. I don't need to take this punishment, because he did it against Mikey Garcia. He really did. And people didn't like the performance, but he won every round and he just got the win. So, that's a possibility also.
Yeah, and another thing is Danny Garcia is a slow starter. He's not overly active, so that can give give Errol some more confidence and some time to kind of work his way back in the fight. But like I said, he still overextended himself when he throw that straight left hand. And look, I think Angel and Danny have been locked in. I don't know if they study film. I don't know if they that type of duo that say they don't study film, but they definitely looking at everything, every angle, every tendency that Spence has. And I think that they're going to look to exploit it. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if Danny came out trying to press him to see where he is mentally and physically. You know what I'm saying?
I would go right at him.
That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't be surprised if he came out and said, because he got a great chin just like Spence. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So
nobody has really, Earl has been able to. Earl has used his fights used his jab in some fights. But nobody has really made Earl nobody's dictated to Earl what was happening in the fight. Mm-hmm. For the exception of Sean Porter. Sean Porter kind of dictated things with those roughhouse tactics and running Earl in the right hand.
I just saw the dude named Larte.
Yes, Emmanuel Larte is the one that hurt Earl with that with that high shot on the head. You're right. Emmanuel Larte. You're right. He used to train here in the Philadelphia area. But nobody's been able to dictate anything to Earl. I'm really curious as how Danny is going to kind of fight him also. Because if I'm Danny, I will go at him also to kind of, Yeah. I mean, listen, he's a human being. Anybody get into an accident like that, you're going to have some type of hesitation about something, man. That was a horrible accident. The accident was so bad, you couldn't even see his body fly out the car.
Exactly. That's how fast it was. It was just like it was a magic trick or something. Like it was like dust. Like like his body disintegrated, and you just like, oh. But hey, it was a great show, fellas. I'm gonna hop off, man. Hey, appreciate you stopping by, Brad, man.
Yep. I appreciate y'all too, man. I gotta get out of here.
All right, y'all.
Yep, cool.
And now we're down to 3.
No, honestly, yeah. But you actually know what I think. I don't think Bud and Spence will fight next, even if both of them win. I actually think Thurman's gonna fight Ugas for that regular WBA fight, and Spence can say all he wants to, but he he damn wants all 3 belts before he fights Bud. And to me, Spence and damn Thurman is still a big fight.
Well, I mean, Thurman don't got the belt no more though. It's Manny. So
I mean, but Manny's a super champ.
But I mean, he beat Thurman though. He wasn't Thurman? Wasn't Thurman the super champ?
Thurman was the super champ going into a regular champ,
and then he beat him.
And then he became champ. And now Ugas is the regular champ.
So you saying he goes after Ugas?
Yeah, Thurman goes after Ugas, gets the regular belt, then he challenges Spence. So actually, because the super champ is basically a damn trophy.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
It's basically a trophy. Because
you know what though, I promise you, I think, like I say, with Spence getting Blu-ray back, I really believe that's more vital than a lot of people give credit for. Because, like you said, Errol Spence ended up changing. I'm not, like I say, I mean, even his last few performances, rough, rugged fights, but you did what you had to do. You got to win. But if we remember the young Errol, the defensively responsible Errol, the Errol who was like on the attack at all times, it's like you couldn't you couldn't get Errol Spence to wilt. He was constant pressure. And if Blu-ray being back mean we're gonna get that guy again, and this accident, let's say if it has minimal effect on him, dude, this could, I mean, and Spence goes out, and let's say he do exactly what I say, and knock Danny Garcia out. I mean, that's huge. Nobody ever. I mean, Danny had been hurt, but nobody ever stopped him. Nobody ever went that far. So
I think I had Earl stopping him possibly before the Porter fight. You know what I mean?
Right.
That Breadman brought up some good points, and Danny has some championship pedigree. And I mean, Danny's been in there with some punches before, so it ain't
absolutely.
It ain't like Danny don't know how to nullify some of that, and Danny don't know how to go in those type of fights.
I think Danny knows how to survive,
but he doesn't really survive. If you know what I mean, like survival mode is what Gamboa did. Like he's not in survival mode. Like
right.
he's still alive. He's still fighting. He might be losing. You know what I mean? But he's still alive. I mean, Porter just won. He just outboxed him. You know what I'm saying? He was more active and he beat him that way. Keith Thurman, I thought Danny won that fight personally. But, a lot of people were cool with, the flurries in the last 10 seconds that Keith Thurman was doing. And, you know what I mean? Like trying to frame the punches. I personally thought Danny won that fight, but,
Me too. I thought Keith got lazy that last half. Because to me, Keith was dominant that in them first couple rounds.
Yeah.
I was like, woo, Danny, he might stop you tonight.
At some point, Keith got hit with a body shot and started running around the ring.
Yep.
Started running around the ring.
I honestly, and this might even sound crazy. I think something that Danny Garcia waits for every fight. I think he waits until the guy hurts him, and then he be like, okay, all right, that's as hard as you can hit. So now I know to do this, and that, and proceed. Because it's like before he gets hit hard, it's like Danny he got the nervous energy. But as soon as you clock him, he like, all right, come on, let's go now.
No, that was the one thing I brought it up, like, except for Lamont Peterson, when Lamont came on late and Lamont almost stopped.
Yeah.
I was expecting Earl to do to him. I was expecting him to kind of ground him with volume and then eventually wear him down. But kind of like that fight happened. I can't really see him doing that anymore. If I'm him, I really just go in there and box, just to fill it out. You know what I mean? Stay behind the jab. Don't do anything risky. Go out there and win that fight. It's still a quality win if you win it. You don't got to go out there and dominate and win it in crazy fashion. It's not like Terrence Crawford can't one up you with beating this Brook. So just go out there and win the fight.
Yeah, that's all you got to do.
You know what? But see, I think he's gonna have to come in this fight trying to. He has to deliver a message, and the message is, okay, this and that happened, but I'm still me. Because if he shows the littlest sign of major change and nervousness and stuff like that, then you're gonna have guys who gonna want to fight, and you're gonna have guys who can put you in that situation to where they bring those insecurities out of you. So with that being said, he has to go out there and show that, okay, look, I'm over this. That's in the past. Now it's on to my greatness. And I mean, like you say, that's something that he has to go out there and prove. I think he can, and I think he will. That's why I think he coming in this fight. And from what I'm hearing, he training like crazy. I promise you, I think he gonna stop Danny. I really do.
That'll be something if he do.
Definitely.
That'll be to me how I'm looking at it. I damn wouldn't be as surprised if Danny stopped him.
Mm-hmm.
I would be more surprised if Spence stopped Danny, even though I would pick Spence to win.
If he stopped Danny, then I'm good to go. You know what I'm saying? Make the Terrence fight.
Yeah.
Make the Terrence fight.
Absolutely, man. Oh. No, my bad. He almost threw an interception. My mistake. I was going to say something, but he threw me off.
Oh, damn, the rainbow.
But no, like I said, with the fight, okay, that's like this with the Brook fight. If Brook can channel some of that prime version of himself, and I mean, look, he don't even necessarily got to win the fight, but if he can go out there and make this, I mean, okay, if he can really test Bud, if he can really test Bud, make him dig deep and stuff like that, to me, that's a win for Brook. Because, I mean, nobody expects you to win the fight. Nobody expects you to be competitive. So if he can go out there and make this a competitive fight, then that's a win for Brook. But I think that also will kind of lower Terrence Crawford value a little, especially at this stage of Brook's career.
But Terrence has been active and Brook hasn't. Brook has the ability to really put the foot on the gas of one of Terrence's weaknesses, which is somebody that comes straight down the middle. Terrence has that great backing up, kind of, has the chin up in the air, and he's susceptible to, the jab right hand straight down the pipe.
That's Brook's favorite combo.
Yeah, that's Brook's favorite combo.
I think he will land that at first.
Huh?
I said to meet him first couple rounds, I think he's gonna land it.
Possibly, but part of me believes that he won't allow. I don't know if Terrence will allow him to do that. He might treat this like the Khan fight where he started faster than normal, because you don't want to give a guy like Brook confidence when he doesn't even know if he should be in the ring or not. More than likely,
Facts. Because if we looking at it, what Brook and Bud is about the same age.
Yep. But Terrence been fighting. Brook haven't. Brook been modeling the shit. I don't know what he been doing, but
sort of modeling.
Yeah. Or fighting people that nobody knows. I don't know.
Right, and that's what he's been doing. He's been fighting a lot of no name guys, and it's like who are they? But somebody brought up a good point. I forgot who it was. I'm not sure if it was Jarrell or Elton, but somebody brought up a good point about how everybody at 154 was chomping at the bit. Come on.
Oh, Breadman who said it.
Okay, but all of them, they were excited. Come on. All right, well, we get a Kell Brook fight. This and that. A high caliber fight. it's gonna make money overseas and stuff like that. So everybody was excited about it. And like for him to sit here and go back down,
Charlos. The Charlos would have torn his ass up.
Yeah,
facts.
yeah, he wasn't fighting. He was like, "Nah, I'm good." Man, what's the punching bag name? I can't even.
Jerry Hurd,
No, shit. Yeah, even damn Hurd would have beat him up. No,
Munguia,
boy, he would go.
Jamie McGee.
Yeah,
Man, and he at 168 now.
I think he had 160.
I thought he went.
Shit,
He just fought Tyriano Johnson.
He damn might be because he blow up in weight just like Jared Hurd.
Mm-hmm.
Because Hurd look like he about 230 right now.
Yo, Hurd look like Zeke right now.
For real, I'm like Hurd look like he about 230 right now.
Mm-hmm. Hell, last I heard, hell, he ain't even got no fight in the works.
Who? Because it's like at what weight?
He got,
If he,
it's crazy. It's crazy. He got off, but yo, they beat the soul out of him, dog.
because
Yeah.
he got to squeeze back down to 154. He is getting stopped.
But I will tell you, before I go, I liked Breadman's comments about Wilder.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I don't know, Wilder probably wouldn't see this show, but he probably need to get his man a call. Because, I mean, that's the type of stuff that's the type of stuff that he needs. He needs a trainer that's going to really, bring the best out of him, but, understand that first it comes mentally. It comes mentally. And then everything else will fall into place. So,
Absolutely. You know what? I ain't gonna lie. I wanted to. I had a joke for what he was saying about Wilder, and I was gonna be like, hey, I quoted Janet Jackson earlier. I was gonna quote Michael Jackson. It all starts with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways.
Yeah, to me, I actually can't fly with him on that shit with damn Mark Breland. Fury now, I'm like, to me, that's believable. Breland, that's just because
they tried to say Breland got ties with the Crump gym though, or something. Like I think somebody tried to get him this. Somebody from Crump gym told him to stop the fight or whatever, and they were trying to say that he went with them. So
to me, people was like the only thing I call bullshit with people was like, why actually wasn't in his drug test? I'm like, they don't test for that. They only looking for PEDs. So they aren't looking for no other type of shit. They only test them because you already know they cheat. They don't.
Because think about this: fighters probably end up sick all the time, right? Like sometimes they come in there. Remember Floyd had the flu when he fought Cotto or whatnot. Like would they be looking for cough medicine or something of that nature? You get what I mean?
No.
Right, because that's out the ordinary.
Somebody could easily sneak the cold and flu stuff up in your stuff more than likely. You know what I'm saying? That powder.
Yeah. I mean, now unless he got roofie, that ain't no damn.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that like by just saying that they took the whole thing and put it in there. Just a little pinch can throw you off just a smidge. You know what I'm saying? Where notice it in your water.
Yeah, and anybody, this ain't even us saying he did it, but I'm just saying, what if he did? Which I'm 99.99% sure he didn't. Is it out the realm he did it? No, but I just don't. Common sense wise, I don't think that happened.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest, and I'm gonna just say this, and whoever get offended or mad about it, they just get mad. Okay, Wilder was so used to success that a moment of failure hurt him beyond repair. that's like, and I'm not gonna say Fury didn't cheat. I'm not gonna say none of that because I mean the gloves do look sketchy, and we don't know what took place back there. So with all that being said, it's to the point now where, well, look, I'm gonna tell Wilder he should take a book. He should take a page out of Anthony Joshua's book. Anthony Joshua lost the fight. He could have came up with a million excuses, but what did he do? He gave credit to the other fighter, wanted the rematch, got the rematch, did what you had to do.
Yeah.
But but actually they are in two different markets. Certain fighters are allowed to lose. I don't think really Wilder was allowed to lose. We actually joked on Joshua for a minute, but that was cool. Look at how they treated Jamel when he lost. I told you.
Oh man.
I damn told you.
Hey, but you know like I say, the funny part about his dang on loss was I mean, okay, see, it was debatable. It was a fight that you had some people felt he clearly won, and then you saw people who felt he lost.
Which I don't get that one. I'm like,
I don't understand. I never got it either. You know, and this is why I say like certain people they're drastically inconsistent with the way they do boxing because one second it's as a challenger you got to take it from the champion, then the next second you got a guy who fought a fight just to survive. How did he win?
Yeah.
Now I think he did way better in the rematch than he did the first fight to me.
In the first fight.
He did.
Because hell, I mean, I ain't gonna lie. The second fight, outside of the that knockdown in the second round, I ain't gonna lie. I was like, you know what? If he beat him tonight, I'm gonna have to give him credit.
Yeah, I was like,
but good thing Jamel stopped him. But I mean, I was dude. I mean, hell, it was looking like it was looking like a clinic.
I watch a third fight with them. I watch a third one.
Me too, because it'll be funny.
Yeah, because I'll be honest with you, nobody. Tony Harrison talks the best trash out of anybody not named Tyson Fury.
Yeah,
hey,
he might got him the whole time though.
You know the funny part about it though. Like, I look, I won't even lie. Look, I think everybody know I'm a Charlotte fan, but I was cracking up when they did the face off. And what Tony Harrison, so he's like, man, you like me. Man, you see how I win my teams, you see how I do this, you want to be just like me. And then see the difference is now Jamel was showing that his anger was getting the advantage of him. But the funny part is Tony was sitting there it was just super relaxed. That's what made it so funny. Yeah. But you knew when they got in the ring that it, like, okay, it's gonna be like a whole different thing, you know. Now see you calm.
Not at first, dog. I was like, oh
no, it wasn't. Right, I agree.
I was like, oh boy.
But hey, look, I won't even lie. When he dropped Tony in the second round, I thought he was about to finish him off early. If he'd have finished him off early, then, you know, a lot of people would have been like, oh, well, this is that. But by him stopping Tony, and not only stopping him, but dang near beheading him, I don't see how people will get too excited outside of the trash talk for the actual fight.
That actually third knockdown with from the uppercut through the ropes, I was like, it is over.
Dude, you saw the one where Tony Harrison head kept doing like this.
Yeah. Tony Harrison, in the times that he's gotten stopped, has the most dramatic stoppages ever.
Yep, I will agree with that. Look, that's like, okay, if we go back, I remember the Nelson fight. I think that was his first loss, Nelson. He was sitting there. He looked like, dude, he did everything you want a boxer to do. But the only thing he didn't do, his stamina. His stamina was what got him with Harrison. His stamina got him with Jerry Hurd.
Yeah,
hell, I mean,
he was whooping Hurd's ass.
He sit there. I kid you not. I remember my father This was that was years before he passed on, but I remember him saying he was like, man, he hitting this boy with so many damn combos. He was like, dude, I mean, he said, man, he gonna look like Martin after what Tommy Hearns did to him. And you know, it was funny, but I kept telling him, I said the only thing with him is he gets tired around the 8th, 9th round.
He got tired against Jamel.
Yep.
He got tired.
See, I think he got cocky with Jamil.
Yeah, he got more cocky than anything.
Because he was sitting there like, oh, that's like I remember Jamil hit him with that body shot, and that body shot looked like it kind of hurt. And he threw his arms up, was dancing and all. I'm like, man, dude, you better stop. And sure as hell, a few minutes later, he's sitting there constantly getting dropped. But I'll say this: he's an exciting fighter. If they can get him his father gone now, but if they can get him a trainer who can teach like top-notch defense to him, Tony Harrison is a problem at 154.
Yeah, he is. He is.
I ain't gonna lie. I know 2 fights I would like to see. I'm kind of upset that what's his name ain't know him no more because I kind of wanted to kind of ask a few questions.
Well,
but I would love to see J Rock versus Tony Harrison.
He don't train J Rock no more.
I know, but that's what I said. I kind of wanted to ask him maybe a few things.
That is one of the things I really didn't want to bring up because I remember reading his mailbag in the damn text. You can tell he was hurt about it.
Right.
That's why he said possibly why one of his perspectives when he was talking about
the Wilder situation. Mm-hmm. Yeah, when he said about a guy get knocked out, you blame. Yeah, I got you.
Yep. So, I mean, but it was very good having him on. He's very insightful. I thought it was.
Wait a minute.
Great.
Hey, if I'm exact, we've interviewed Wilder before, haven't we?
I have. I know Jarrell has.
Yeah, you and Jarrell, right?
I don't know if we've all interviewed him. So.
No, not us all. Hell, let's see about getting him on this platform. It'll be wonderful to hear from him. And I'll ask him the questions that just remember Andre Darrell. I'll ask him a tough question.
That was real because I remember when y'all did it, he wasn't big then.
Mm-hmm. He wasn't big. It's been really hard. Getting him back. Same thing with Keith Thurman. I think you and Jarrell, Keith Thurman, before he hit big time. We got.
I could probably get Sean Porter.
You know what? I remember it was years ago though. The last time I actually called Thurman, hell, he picked up. Shockingly, he picked up first ring and had maybe about a 10-minute conversation, but he picked up.
Yeah, so it'd be cool to have a fighter or another trainer on here.
Oh, absolutely.
I can get Kenny or Sean Porter. I can probably get Kenny or Sean Porter.
Yeah, so
that'd be cool.
So what you gonna ask Kenny? You gonna ask him if what Adrian Broner said is true?
What did Adrian Broner say? Hold on, what happened?
Yeah, no, I'm not asking about the damn finances.
Yeah, he said he be taking all the money, taking all the women or something like that.
Mm-hmm. No, you know what I would ask him seriously on the joking matter. Even though I don't really know what's his name like that.